Thanks for joining us on another edition of the Small Business Show with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining me on another edition of the Small Business Show right here at ASBN.com. Buying a franchise, and you all know how I feel about franchising. So buying a franchise can be an exciting way to become your own boss, but it's not without its risks. Not every opportunity is what it seems, and first-time buyers often make mistakes that can cost them time, money, and maybe even their dream of entrepreneurship. So joining us to discuss this is Joel Libava, who is better known as the Franchise King. He's also a franchise buying agent, the author of the book, Become a Franchise Owner, the Startup Guide to Lowering Risk, Making Money, and Owning What You Do. Thank you so much, Joel, for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Sure. So let's kind of jump right in here. Many people see franchising as a shortcut to entrepreneurship. What are the first steps someone should take to determine if buying a franchise is the right path for them?
Well, the first and most important thing is to make sure that you have enough money, not only to fund it, but to keep it operating, especially for the first year or two, which is really, really the high pressure time where you need to have operating capital, marketing funds, et cetera. With inflation and with the cost of a lot of things going up, when I work with clients, I really want them to have over $500,000 net worth.
Okay.
It used to be $300,000, $350,000. Even $500,000 may be a little light nowadays.
Okay.
So that is a minimum. Once you determine you have the finances to do it, the next thing to do, and this is really important, determine what you're good at.
Okay.
What were you good at in corporate America? What do you bring to the table that you can leverage into a franchise relationship, into a business? And write down your strengths and your weaknesses and some of your personal traits. And then kind of figure out what might match those, what might match those opportunities.
And Joel, isn't it true too that even though you determine those things, those strengths and also identifying your weaknesses too, it's just as important. The franchise you buy may not even be in the area that you've been working in the last 20 or 30 years, right? I mean, you might bring, if you're good in organization, you might bring those skill sets to the franchise. But if you were an accountant, you might not be buying an accounting franchise, right? It might sit down with you or someone, some of your colleagues in the industry, and they might show you a whole host of different franchises, and you say, actually, I like that one right there. I like, and what it brings, right? Talk to us about that.
A lot of the people I've worked with in the past, and even now, even though I'm not a franchise matchmaker, they are looking at franchises they never thought they would look at. I've worked with some people that have an idea, I want this specific food franchise. I know I want it. I've been a customer. I can see myself doing it. Then they get into it a little bit, learn about it, and say, you know what, I might not want to work 6 days a week. I might not want to work 15 hours a day.
Right.
And since I'm good at sales, maybe I can buy a franchise where I can use my sales abilities.
Right.
So it's 100% true, Jim, that a lot of people end up buying franchises that have nothing to do with their background or their industry experience.
That's right. And I think it's important to note that when you go and tell your circle of friends and family you're thinking about buying this particular franchise, and right out of their mouth comes, well, now what do you know about pet care, right? Right? And they're like, guess what? I don't need to know that much about pet care because the franchisor has done all of the heavy lifting for me, right?
Right. It doesn't necessarily have to be about what type of business it is, but it's what can the business do for you as an owner?
Right.
Can it get you where you want to go?
Right. Right.
And it happens.
Yeah, for sure. So franchises come with systems and brand recognition, which is so vitally important, but there are still risks. What red flags should buyers watch out for when evaluating an opportunity?
One of the big ones, and it doesn't seem to happen as often, and it really better not happen, is if you're working with a franchise sales representative for a couple weeks and you ask for their disclosure, for their information, the franchise disclosure document, because you want to look it over and you're starting to get serious, and they hesitate providing it. Or they say, well, before we give you our FTD, we want you to come to headquarters and come visit us and make sure we're a good fit for each other. that is a red flag.
Really?
They should
Okay.
they should send you the FDD either before you ask for it or as soon as you ask for it.
Yeah.
That is a huge red flag.
I didn't realize that. And so you're saying they're going to try to maybe, if there's some information in that disclosure that's not real favorable to them, they're going to try to close you first on getting you in and getting them in front of you, and so they can maybe put the close on you and then kind of slide over the disclosure, right?
Right. Or maybe, we would like to explain what happened with those lawsuits in person, as opposed to you looking at the FDD and
right.
And when it's time to contact your franchise attorney, the franchise attorney says, "Well, wait a minute here. There's 3 of the same lawsuits. What's going on?" So yeah,
sure.
It is a huge red flag.
Sure. And for the people that are novice at this in franchise and looking at franchises, tell us what that disclosure is all about.
The FDD, or the franchise disclosure document, includes 23 items by law that must be listed in a document that is presented to you a certain number of days before you are really given a formal offer to buy the franchise.
Okay.
It's a legal document. They must provide it to you. It includes things like the names and addresses and phone numbers of the existing franchise owners, the franchisees, the background of the executives, current litigation, et cetera, things like that you want to know about that aren't necessarily all good or bad, but you are required to have it by law because you want to know.
Right. And to your point, there might even be some things in there that you think, well, this doesn't sound, there's a lawsuit here, or there's a lawsuit there, but guess what? They have 1,000 outlets and the vast majority are all doing very, very well, right?
Right. And every business has, not every business, but a lot of businesses have a couple lawsuits. So it's a numbers game, but you want to find out if there are lawsuits or if there is anything else that's a little wonky.
Right. So how do you help, buyers weigh the cost of a franchise, including fees and royalties and upfront investment and against potential earnings and lifestyle goals? I mean, there's a lot going into that, right?
There's a lot going into that. I've had pretty high-powered people immediately approach me and say, "Well, Joel, before I buy a franchise, I'm going to look at 2 or 3 of them, and I'm going to run the numbers, and whatever ROI is the best, that's the one I'm going to buy." That might not be the best one for you.
Right.
What if you love the franchise opportunity, but the numbers are bad?
Right.
Or vice versa.
That's
what
right.
if it's a franchise opportunity, you weren't really that interested, but the numbers are really good?
Yeah.
So, but the important thing is, don't look at just ROI. Look at the entire opportunity, lifestyle. If you can make $200,000 a year, but only have to work 5 days a week, isn't that kind of better than making $300,000 a year and working 7 days a week? So it's a blend of lifestyle, earnings, and how fast you're going to break even. There's a lot that goes into it. It's the money, but it's not only the money.
That's right. And it's so vitally important to talk to existing franchisees, right? People that are in the trenches, working with customers, working with the franchisor, to hear what they have to say about the franchise system that they're involved in, right?
Oh, for sure. Calling franchisees is the number one most important thing any aspiring franchise owner can do, is calling existing franchisees. But here's a free tip. The franchise company may provide 3 or 4 names for you to call. That's fine. That's fine. They're going to be successful, happy franchisees. I always tell my clients to use them for practice.
Yeah.
Because these are going to be really easy phone calls, and you can practice your approach on the questions you want to ask. Then put that list away and open the franchise disclosure document, which I just discussed, and call franchisees randomly.
That's right.
And ask them really good questions.
That's right. And maybe visit them. I mean, listen, if it's an investment that you're going to make of a few $100,000 or even up to $1 million or more, isn't it worth jumping on a plane if you have to and going to certain cities and just walking in and saying, "Hey, let me talk to you. Let me see your operation. Let me maybe meet with your people. Maybe it's better that I talk to your general manager or your manager of this location than even the franchise owner himself or herself," right?
For sure, Jim. It is a great thing to do. If it's in driving distance, even better.
Yep.
But try to visit 1 or 2 franchisees and kind of spend a day in the life of.
Sure.
And see if it feels right while you're there. But don't make this mistake. don't go too early in the process. Don't do any secret visits because you're going to come across, it's just going to be really awkward. So do it when it's time to do it, after a few weeks of doing research and knowing what the heck you're talking about.
Right.
But definitely do it. Definitely do it.
Right, for sure, for sure. And I agree with you when you said earlier, make sure that you've got enough money set aside, because I do know some friends of mine and acquaintances that had enough money to get open, but they didn't have enough money to stay open. And, I don't care what franchise it is, it's going to take a little bit of time, unless maybe it's a McDonald's where you put the sign up and the open sign and people start driving through, the drive-through. But it's going to take a little bit of time to get going. And I think people sometimes underestimate that. They think, hey, if I buy the franchise and I put the open sign out, man, people are just going to flood in. It doesn't work that way, folks, right?
No, it doesn't work that way. And buyers, make sure you have living expenses set aside. Because if you're leaving your job, your mortgage doesn't go away, your car payments, your lease payments don't go away.
That's right.
Make sure you have money for those expenses too.
That's right. And then for those people, by the way, we're both very big advocates on franchising, so I hope we didn't lose the audience yet to say, oh, they're giving us all the negative. There's a lot of positive. We're trying to give you some of the things to look out for here, but franchising can definitely be the way to go for you to realize your dream in entrepreneurship. So we're huge advocates of it. We're just trying to give you some tips here. But there are franchises out there that, as we said, do a very good job. Let me ask you this. When a franchisor says, look, we want you to commit to a number of franchises if we're going to give you this one in this market. You know what I'm talking about, right? Where they say, we really want you to develop 5 or commit to 6 over the next 5 years. Otherwise, we can't give you that. What's your advice on that?
You should know ahead of time by doing some background research on your own whether or not you are going to be asked to be a multi-unit owner. And that's fine. If you have $1 million net worth or so, and you would like to have 3 units, definitely go for it.
Yeah.
If it's something that you have validated and you feel it's a really strong franchise system, you're not opening all 3 at the same time.
Right.
There'll be a specific timeline. It might be open the first one in 6 months, the second one in 18 months, the third one in 3 years. There's going to be a timeline. It's very specific, but it's a great way to potentially build some wealth.
Yeah.
Franchising is really the best business model ever developed.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have enough money for it. You're the right person. You can follow rules. There are some awesome opportunities out there.
Yeah. There's no question about it. And as it relates to those multi-unit opportunities out there, a friend of mine owns a number of hair cuttery locations, and the fact remains, you're not going to get rich on one of those locations. You actually need 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 in order to make any kind of real money, right?
Yeah, that's true. And once again, it comes from the research you do on your own before you even talk to the franchise company. You'll find out there are a lot of multi-unit owners.
That's right.
So that's part of it. But it's not necessary. Sometimes you can buy a franchise, 1 unit's enough. You can even expand the space instead of adding another building. Yeah. There are a lot of ways to expand. It doesn't have to be multi-unit.
Right. And I know some friends of mine too. I got a lot of friends in this that are buying franchises, but they've got different franchises. Like one's got 3 different kind of hair cuttery places. Another one's got a couple of car washes that are franchised. Another one, they're just into franchising and they love different successful systems that are out there. Have you found that to be the case where somebody gets into franchise and like, well, let me just kind of buy different ones out here?
There more and more people are asking about that up front. Yeah. Well, Joel, if I'm successful in this franchise, why couldn't I buy another different type of franchise?
Right.
You certainly can. I just don't want people to get ahead of themselves.
Yeah.
Focus on the one that you bought, focus hard on it, get profitable, grow it, and then go to the next one. It's great to have big dreams. And yes, some people do that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So what resources do you recommend to potential franchisees to reference that might be out there?
I would definitely use the U.S. Small Business Administration website.
Okay.
Note, I used to write for it before COVID. I used to be their franchise writer. And when COVID hit, they took all their energy towards loans and helping small businesses stay afloat. So that's over with. But I wrote for them for about 8 years. There are a ton of great articles about franchising, small business, and financing. Also, the FTC, FTC.gov, the Federal Trade Commission has a great manual on franchises. I just opened a new resource called the Franchise Attorney Directory because of AI and because of the way the web is now, it's getting harder and harder for people to find franchise attorneys locally. Yeah. You have to go through 2 pages sometimes of a Google search. So I just created the franchiseattorneydirectory.com. And you can find franchise attorneys in your area. It's free for you to use.
That's great. We're going to
always use a franchise attorney.
I was going to say, we just showed the information on the screen here so that you can so you can access that and get that. That's great. And I agree with you, because your divorce attorney or the attorney that helped you put your corporation together, or your bankruptcy, or whatever the case might be, if they haven't done franchising, and a number of them, that's not your franchise attorney. So it's great advice. There's no question about it, Joel. You got to have somebody that knows what to look for and what to point out to you in this process. Because if they don't know franchising and they just give it a once over and go, everything looks good, go ahead and sign it, and then you find out later on you may have to get a franchise attorney to fight your franchisor, and that individual says, "Who let you sign this?"
Right.
It's
right.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
You don't use someone that dabbles in franchising. Use someone that specializes it and that writes the documents and reads them every day.
That's right. Franchising is going to be really big in the next few years. I know it is now, but you've got so many baby boomers. I think they say 10,000 a day retire. Yeah. Those baby boomers are maybe people like me that are, in their early 60s, and they still got a lot of they still got a lot of runway ahead of us. So, but maybe we have a pile of money and we want to go out and buy a franchise. And now's a great time to do just that. And obviously, there's franchise shows around the country. That's a great place to start as well. That way, it's kind of one-stop shopping. You can go right through and talk to the different salespeople at the franchise companies and see what's what. And I will tell you, I've met some people in my journey that they own crazy franchises that they're making great money at that had nothing to do at all with their background, right? And you're like, you bought a what franchise?
What?
A donut? You make donuts? Whatever it might be. And but they're having a great time doing it. And I think the best part about franchising, not just the name recognition and the system itself, but just having that support that you as close as a phone or a text message or an email to go, hey, I just ran into a situation. I need help in this. Well, what do you recommend? And the franchisor is right there to say, calm down. Here's what we do. This is what you got to do next to get out of it or what have you, right? I mean, that support is huge.
It is. It's massive. And you don't even have to believe the franchise company when they say our support is fantastic. Call the franchisees that are in business doing what you think you want to be doing and ask them.
That's right.
How's the support?
Is
it fast? Is it good? They'll tell you. Believe me, they'll tell you.
Yeah, no question about it. Joel Libava, who's the franchise king, franchise buying expert, the author of Become a Franchise Owner, the startup guide to lowering risk, making money, and owning what you do. And we're going to make a link right below this video that you're watching as well to get your copy of the book. So Joel, thank you so much. Love to have you back because there's so many different aspects of franchising that I know you can help us with. So very much appreciate all the time you've given us.
Sure, Jim. Thanks for having me. And let's get people in franchising.
That's right. Thanks so much.
Thanks for watching another edition of the Small Business Show with Jim Fitzpatrick, exclusively on ASBN.com.